Backbiting, according to most scholars, is a major sin. Yet if we were to ask ourselves sincerely, what exactly is backbiting? And are there any limits to backbiting? Or is there any exceptions to backbiting? You would realize that the vast majority of us would not be able to give a satisfactory answer, which is problematic because the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he warned us of the evils of the tongue, where he said that verily a man will utter a word not thinking anything of it, but it will land him in the depths of the hellfire. And since the tongue is an instrument we use all day, every day, it can be very easy to slip into that trap. And so this video is going to tell you exactly what backbiting is and the 6 exceptions so that you know exactly when you're doing it and how to avoid it. Backbiting is when you are speaking about someone behind their back, such that if they were present in that gathering with you, they would not like what is being said about them. And so any speech that falls under that, even if it's true, is in fact backbiting. But as I mentioned in the beginning, there are 6 exceptions where if you fall into these exceptions, you can actually speak about someone behind their back, even if they wouldn't like it. So pay attention and make a note of these because they're very, very important. Number 1, if someone has oppressed you or wronged you in any way, then you're able to speak about them behind their back, so long as the person who you're speaking to is able to fix the situation or help you by giving you advice about that particular situation. So for example, you might have a family friend who has wronged you in a way, so you go to your mother and you speak to your mother about that situation so that she's able to advise you on how to deal with the situation. Number 2 is if you're warning someone about someone else. So for example, you might have a friend who's looking to marry a sister, but you have information about that sister that you know would be a non-negotiable for your friend. And so you tell him just to protect him from any future consequences had he married that person. Number 3, which is pretty self-explanatory, is if you're seeking a fatwa to know if a situation is halal or haram and it involves someone else. You can speak everything regarding that matter to the sheikh that you're speaking to. Number 4, which is actually very similar to number 1, but doesn't necessarily have to be if someone's wronged you or oppressed you, is if you're seeking help about a situation. If you're seeking help about a situation and you need to kind of give details about a specific person involved, whether they've wronged you or not, then that is also perfectly fine. Number 5 is if that person is a public sinner. If you know someone who's posting pictures, doing all sorts, drinking alcohol, then it's fine for you to speak about him behind his back. But just make sure that you strive to make it intentional when you do speak about him so that there's some sort of positive benefit that comes out of it. Otherwise, you slip into the trap of maybe potentially falling into idle talk, which can very easily lead into actual backbiting. And finally, number 6 is if that person is committing open and clear innovation, bid'ah, a creation in the deen. This term bid'ah is thrown about like it's nothing nowadays. And so this needs a video to itself. But with that said, if someone is committing a clear bid'ah, most things that people say bid'ah is not bid'ah. If it's a clear bid'ah, then yes, you call that person out after having advised him privately so that you can basically help him stop that bid'ah. And so I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that this video was beneficial. Save it, share it, spread it, do your thing, because most people don't know about this topic, yet most people fall into the trap of backbiting.